Hello everyone, hope you're having a great week so far. This past weekend, my wife and I had a blast. We capped off a very busy week with some time together, just us and the dog. That was about it over at my in-laws' house, just having kind of a relaxing weekend, and we had a really cool fun time going to our local retro video game and pretty much the only real movie store around anymore to find DVDs and that type of thing, except for like Walmart and Target. They had a $1 sale for people that follow them online, Facebook, things like that. You got an email, a $1 sale for DVDs. Any specially marked DVD was $1, and they've had a glut of DVDs coming in, so they expanded what they would normally put in that specially marked category. Stuff that would normally not be in it was suddenly in it. DVDs that were usually under the $10 range, most of those were included. So for $1 a piece, we were able to grab a whole bunch of stuff, really get some ones that have just kind of eluded us over the years, because we normally don't go online and pay full price for things, so we're kind of at the mercy of what we stumble upon. So some commons that we finally have in our collection, some things that we just have never upgraded from VHS from our childhood, we finally have, so lots of great stuff. One here, we have completely different genres and everything, like all over the place. So really fun. I'm super happy with what we got. Hot Fuzz, first one here, my second favorite Simon Pegg movie after Shaun of the Dead, even though I think this is probably overall slightly better, more complete production. The second movie in the Three Flavors Cornetto trilogy, and fantastic movie there. I haven't seen it in a while. I'm actually going to go watch that after filming this. I really enjoyed it though. One that my wife picked up that she really likes, and I visually find this film fascinating, Queen of the Damned. One of those that, not anywhere near as good as the original Anne Rice novel, but it's probably one of the best adaptations of a work ever done. Definitely a step up from Interview with a Vampire. So still an imperfect film, but a visually interesting film, and at least a better film overall than some of the other adaptations of her work. And another one that my wife really enjoyed, she really likes Asylum Pictures and all those kinds of straight to DVD or Sci-Fi Channel horror movies, that type of stuff she really enjoys, and I find them entertaining as well. They're something you don't take too seriously, just have fun. We got Ghost Ship, nice cover there. And Shrek, one that we actually weirdly, the only thing we own it on right now is Game Boy Advance Video, so it's good to finally have this on DVD. Another one where, one of those series where we both really kind of only like the first one, and I know she likes the stage play of this as well, so we finally grabbed that on DVD. Haven't seen that since VHS, so good to see that. Another one, Legally Blonde, another one of those, like, I don't know if my wife likes the second one, I haven't asked her, I only like this one, and it's just fun. Another one where she really enjoys the stage play, so it's good to have that on DVD finally there. We have Girls Just Want to Have Fun. This is one that I really picked up. One I really enjoy. Anything even remotely 80s related at all, it doesn't matter what it is, I'm going to enjoy it. Got some more of the comedies going here. The unrated edition of Pineapple Express. So this is a pretty fun movie. It's just, again, one of those goofy, ridiculous comedies. And this, I remember seeing in theaters, I was losing my mind because it was after a finals week at college, and I had just been completely sleep deprived. We went to the theaters and said, we're just going to see a funny movie. And just being in that sleep-deprived state, I just got hysterical watching that movie in theaters. Just because it was like being high, seeing a comedy, just that just sleep-deprived state, and just like anything funny would have me laughing. With that, I just remember laughing hysterically. Another that I haven't seen since VHS days, I haven't seen this since elementary school, Space Jam. So really happy to have that. It's a great 90s kids movie, just a heck of a lot of fun, and one of those that's just, if you don't have nostalgia for it, you're probably not going to like it. It's one of those where it's not an amazing movie overall, but just a fun kids movie with a lot of memories if you are a fan of the 90s or you grew up in the 90s. Another one here that was kind of disappointing, but at the same time I think it's better than most people give it credit for. We have Tron Legacy. My wife and I saw this in the theaters. That was actually, I think, one of the earliest films we ever saw together in the theaters, so it doesn't live up to the original. I think it's very much Flash, style over substance in many ways, but I think there's more there than it's given credit for, enough to where I really wish there was a third one to improve upon what this built as a sequel. Again, nowhere near as great as the classic, and it's not really groundbreaking in any way like that was, but it's still visually and stylistically very exciting and interesting, but overall, definitely an imperfect film. Doesn't live up to the original, but I really wish that we had a third one to take what they did there with Legacy and really expand upon it and make a true, worthy sequel. I think that the building blocks were there and they could have really done that. We picked up, let me see here. That was in the wrong spot. There's another one that goes with it. 2 different releases of Our Gang, Little Rascals. This is something my wife grew up watching. A lot of old VHS box sets and things like that, and I have seen random ones over the years and watched a lot with her since then. Absolutely love these classics, ones that I want to get all the Laserdisc releases for. We wanted at least a handful of DVD copies there. As with most things, we at least want a DVD copy, whether we have on other formats or whatever, just to have a DVD copy on the side there. Another one I haven't seen since VHS, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is the 40th anniversary edition here for DVD. So an absolute classic with Gene Wilder, one of my favorite films of his, and probably his overall most iconic role. Just an amazing movie, absolutely love it. It's not really a remake technically, it's just another movie based off the book, but the newer one, the Tim Burton one, I hate that movie so much. I hate it so much more now because my cousin who I watch is really young and really likes both of these films, and he'll watch them both, all the time. But that Tim Burton one, I watched it once. I found it to be just obnoxious overall. Like, that's the number one word I would equate with that film, is just obnoxious. It was just, I didn't like it at all. It was frankly annoying. Like, it was grating. Visually, even more so than the songs. Everything about it was just, I couldn't stand it. And I've probably seen it now about 30 times from watching him over, the past couple of years. I've probably seen it at least 30 times. That's a really low estimate. But I can cleanse my palate now at home and watch that, and eventually grab that on Laserdisc as well. Another one of these ridiculous comedies. Occasionally, I like a lot of 30s comedies and 40s. I think that's an era I really enjoy, and then a lot of 60s, 70s, and I really do tend to gravitate more towards highbrow comedy, but I also really like just fun slapstick. And then there's also the just kind of unbelievably lowbrow kind of dumb humor movies that sometimes they just kind of click with you, and other times it's just, wow, this is pretty awful. And this series here, Scary Movie, I've probably seen most, if not all, the ones in the series over the years, and this is the only one I've enjoyed. The other ones, they didn't really work for me personally. They just, it was too lowbrow, and it was too stupid, and I just couldn't find them to be funny. Sometimes you can see the stupidest movie you've ever seen. It's hilarious because of it. But this is the only one in this series that worked for me in that way. And it's still, again, a pretty bad movie overall, but it's funny, and I think the only reason that it really works for me is because of Tim Curry. I really like Tim Curry, and I think his inclusion in this makes it so. It's a movie I have to be in the right mood to watch because it is just absurd. But if I'm in the right mood, and with Tim Curry assisting the comedy along the way, it works enough that I can find it to be enjoyable. And again, in the $1 sale, we found one completely brand new sealed copy, Memoirs of a Geisha, and I have this. This is the 2-disc widescreen special edition for $1, brand new sealed. That was amazing. I have this exact copy of this movie, but for $1, I'm not going to pass up a sealed copy just to keep on the shelf alongside it. Future-proof a bit there, just for $1. I'm not passing that up. Naked Killer, digitally remastered version of that, and I'm very happy that this does include the Cantonese audio, because sometimes with these they only include the English dub, and sometimes those are unbearable. They sometimes can make the movie almost unwatchable or add a comedy factor that's not supposed to be there. So if something really does have the original Cantonese language track, and also does have the English option, if that's the original Cantonese language track, that's a very, very happy addition to find there. Next up is Aaron Brockovich, one of the better Julia Roberts dramas, one I really have enjoyed before watching. And then we have Rocky Balboa. I'm a huge fan of the Rocky movies. I have 1 through 5 on just about everything, CED, VHS, Laserdisc, whatever. Just happened to not picked up a copy of Balboa over the years. I saw it in theaters when it first came out and was pleasantly surprised. It was a film I went in seeing rather pessimistically. I actually really thought that after so much time, why are they making another one? Why are they coming back? It's still one of my least favorite movies in the series. It's in the bottom, 2 or 3, but it is definitely a better movie than I was expecting. It is overall a very good movie, and does really bring back a lot of the the really inspiring feelings, especially from the first couple Rocky movies. So overall, great movie. I'm happy to finally have another copy. I want to grab that on UMD probably someday. Jackie Chan widescreen edition of The Tuxedo. Not one of Jackie's better films, but one that is still very enjoyable and funny. Again, not one of his best efforts comedically or stunt-wise, but there's some really funny and interesting scenes in here, especially when he's the Emperor and he just has his pants on and not the shirt yet for the special suit that gives him his James Bond super spy powers. That's a pretty interesting scene. There's a couple gags throughout the whole thing that make it enjoyable, fun couple of hours there. Moving on to this side here, we finally have another entry in the Dragon Dynasty collection. So happy to get another one there. We have Sammo Hung, which you can never go wrong with Sammo in Dragon Heat, and this is one I've not seen before. So I'm going to be excited to put this in, especially with all the different special features that tend to come with a Dragon Dynasty release of a movie. Very excited to get that. We are going for a complete set of the DVD releases of Dragon Dynasty, so it's always great me picking one of those up. The original Mr. Peabody and Sherman, Volume 2. I really enjoyed this. I remember watching this late night Cartoon Network along with Rocky and Bullwinkle, so it's fun to have a few episodes here. We don't have a ton of cartoons yet overall in the DVD collection. It's something we have to build up there, so it's always great to get another entry there. Another one of those series that there's only one that I really would like to rewatch and like to have in the collection. We had the collector's edition widescreen of American Pie. American Pie 2 was okay. American Wedding was okay. After that, forget about it. Never really, don't want to see any of those again. 2 and Wedding, again, were fun, but I don't think I would ever really sit down and rewatch them. This I would, though. This one I have a lot of memories of seeing, and very quotable, and one that I definitely want to have in the library there. Kick-Ass 2. Amanda and I enjoyed Kick-Ass, and we have never seen Kick-Ass 2. We missed it in theaters and just haven't picked it up over the years, so happy to grab that and watch the two of them back to back. Then we got, Amanda found this, a NASA Collector's Choice double feature. It has all kinds of stuff with the moon landing and the Challenger disaster, and the Challenger disaster is one that we definitely remember very vividly because it was something that we both had discussions of in elementary school and things like that. It's just something that was something that we were very aware of, and of course obviously the moon landing. We have some footage of the moon landing on Laserdisc, and it's good to have DVD, some interesting NASA stuff. I always like to pick up documentaries or educational type stuff, no matter what format. It's always just a lot of fun. We got a different edition here of Terminator 2 Judgment Day. We have this on DVD already, but this is a different edition, and I wanted to grab another copy of that on that format. And we're actually almost done with the Terminator movies. Only the first two. I don't really like anything outside of those. I've seen most of them, and just stick with the first two. But yeah, as far as the copies that we want specifically in different formats, we're actually getting close to done, so that's fun. And moving along with more in the action format, the ridiculous but enjoyable Expendable movies. We have Expendable 1, and we have the Expendables 2 and 3, both with their nice slipcovers included. Can't go wrong with that for $1. So now we have 1, 2, and 3 all in the similar editions here with their nice slipcovers, and they're just, they haven't really been replaced. A lot of the, especially 80s action stars, 78s, 80s, 90s, really all of them, you haven't really had too many modern replacements in that style of it within the action genre. You really haven't. It's kind of something that's kind of died off to where a lot of these stars can join a handful of more recent up-and-comers or people that are known as more action people, like Ronda Rousey, not really a movie person, but whatever, any, sort of the tough guy image or tough lady image or whatever. They're just fun action movies that remind you of the heyday of the 80s in particular for action movies. They're nothing too fantastic, but I love them, and I love the goofy, just every person who might possibly have a name associated with action in any way, just shove them in there, and it just reminds me of, like the old disaster movies like Poseidon Adventure or Towering Inferno, or even some little car chase movies, things like that, where you just have a lot of famous people just shoved into this kind of mediocre movie, and together they all make it entertaining. So that works there. A couple other movies that we have on other formats but have not picked up on DVD. We got Ninja Turtles 1 and 3. They did not have a copy of 2, sadly. We'll have to pick that up eventually, but 1 and 3. 1 being phenomenal, just an absolute 80s kids movie classic that is dark enough and has enough adult themes to where it works better overall just as a movie, not just as a nostalgic kids movie. It works just as a film by itself. It's really, really good. 3 is kind of the other way, where if you were the right age to have really grown up with the Ninja Turtles cartoon and the 80s and move into like the movies and stuff in the 90s and things like that, then this is an awesome movie. But outside of that, it's not that great. But yeah, fun nostalgic flick. One that I have not seen yet that I've always wanted to see, because I do tend to like Angelina Jolie movies, but I think I tend to see more action-based ones, and I do like the Tomb Raider and things like that, or what was it, Wanted? I don't remember what the one was called. It wasn't very good. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, things like that. And I don't see her in too many of her more dramatic roles, but when I do, I'm always fairly impressed. She always, I don't know, for some reason, I never think of her as being as good of an actress as she actually can be in some films. So Changeling, I've always wanted to see. Did not get a chance to see that, so very excited to watch this. And again, I think she's going to be fantastic in that. She always surprises me. Another drama, some more romantic things. I use Train. Saw this many years ago, and finally have a copy to watch again. I really enjoyed that. An ongoing journey to try and find all the handful of releases of the 90s Spider-Man series, the Venom saga. It's sad that on DVD they didn't really release solid, groupings of seasons and things like that. Just these little collections based around your specific villains and things like that, or storylines throughout the series. Because this series did have really, really good long story arcs. It did a really good job with that. So I wish there was more out there on the DVD format, because I think the original X-Men, we haven't picked them up yet, but I think that mostly is on DVD and in season collections. But got the Venom saga here. Picked up a copy of Gladiator. A really, really great movie, Best Picture winner and everything. A fantastic movie, but I think slightly overrated. Again, just a really great movie. I saw it in theaters, absolutely loved it. Every time I watch it, I really enjoy it, but I just don't think it's quite as good as it's heralded as being, and I do think Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is a much better movie. Should have been Best Picture there. Going sort of the opposite direction here, one that's corny and goofy, but it's just kind of entertaining and fun. Van Helsing, and this works so well because of how Hugh Jackman and Kate Beckinsale approach the movie. It's done in such an entertaining way. It's never gonna be an Oscar contender in any form. But yeah, my wife and I were talking about how much we love just ridiculous action movies like this that have enough just interesting visuals, and just they're very comic booky, but not in the Marvel Cinematic Universe type of way. They can be very, very enjoyable. And this one has an interesting feature here that I didn't see until after we took it home. But if you put this in an original Xbox, you can play the first level of the Van Helsing game. So that's an interesting inclusion there on the DVD. And speaking of Kate Beckinsale, here we have Underworld, the 2-disc extended, cut here. Awesome to have that. This is another series that we're almost done. Beautiful slipcase here. We're almost done collecting all the different versions that we want. I really like this on the back cover too here with the moon. Hopefully there's not too much of a glare. Put a slip cover on here. It's just a really beautiful release, and definitely an underrated film. I think overall they get compared to the Resident Evil movies, and really the Underworld movies are so much better than the Resident Evil movies. Those are just kind of ridiculous, fun action flicks that they're not very good overall. Underworld really does have more substance underneath the surface. It really does have a greater mythology, and definitely there's some really great actors in some of them, to where they take the performances or the script that's kind of okay and really elevate it a bit more if you really go through and watch them all. And especially this first one with its focus on more practical effects with the lichens and things like that. It looks really fun, pretty fantastic. Collector's edition widescreen of Scarface. Again, another one that I haven't seen since the VHS days. Finally grabbed that on DVD. The first Police Academy. Another one of those series where I've seen most of them, if not all of them. I forget how many there are. I know I've seen at least 5 of them. There's probably more, but it's one of those where the first one is one I will watch again. I have this now on DVD. I want to grab it on Laserdisc eventually. The other ones, I've seen them, entertaining enough in the moment. Probably won't watch again, but I'm happy to grab that one. We got the collector's edition, the widescreen of An American Werewolf in London, with some really cool special features. I always love when DVDs include a whole bunch of special features there, so one that both my wife and I enjoy. And a couple left here for the $1 sale, some of my favorite finds. A series of DVDs that I just can never seem to find copies of, and no one knows what the heck I'm talking about when I talk about it, but the Sony's, the Super Bit series. This is a Super Bit Deluxe edition with Charlie's Angels. So Super Bit, just the Super Bit series, they took out all the special features, they took out previews, they took out like any animations in the menus, and it's just the movie in the best possible quality on a regular DVD. And then after a while, they started releasing just a handful towards the end of the Super Bit Deluxe, where they put back in all special features, but on a second disc, so they could still not have any like real compression or anything for the actual movie, and still be a really high quality release. But found a Super Bit Deluxe of Charlie's Angels, so happy to grab that. You just don't see those ever. And probably my favorite find because for $1, I'm like, holy cow, this is great. I'm a big fan of King Kong, both the original book and the original movie especially is one of my favorite movies, and to varying degrees I like all the other King Kong adaptations, some more than others. This one, the Peter Jackson version, King Kong, this is the Deluxe Extended Edition, and I really enjoy this film. I think it does overstay its welcome a little bit, and not having the Extended Edition now too. I think it's one of those movies where I don't think it's too long as far as its running time specifically, because if your story can handle an over 3 hour long running time, then have a 3 hour long running time. Movie should be as long as it needs to be, not it shouldn't fit into a mold. With an hour and a half is good for your movie. Hour and a half, 3 hours it needs, give it 3 hours. At moments though, this does tend to be, it doesn't really drag. I just feel like at times it feels a little too focused on some of the effects, which are impressive, but it focuses a little more occasionally on the effects, style over substance, and not throughout the whole thing, just as an occasional thing. And it does just, it really feels like a movie that's longer than it should be, even though it's enjoyable. It's hard to describe there. I think it depends on the person, but I can see why. Like, I can understand very easily why some people don't enjoy this adaptation of King Kong. But I've always enjoyed it, and I liked what's brought to the table with this, and really the passion that Peter Jackson has for it, and just the beautiful work by What a Workshop. And there are a lot of positives and negatives with this movie, but overall I think it's an underrated movie that I think was well reviewed and accepted when it came out, but for some reason over time I think its name's been kind of dragged through the mud, and it's better than I think people remember it being. And I don't know, I really enjoy Kong stuff, and this is one of the better movies outside of the original. But what makes this edition so fantastic is that it's over 6 hours of bonus features, and that's what's amazing with this here. This is one that's a pretty common release on regular DVD. It was a pack-in movie on HD DVD. It's out on Blu-ray and things like that. But this 3-disc extended cut here, amazingly excited to get this for $1 because it's in immaculate condition. The discs and everything inside looks practically brand new. Cover just tiny bit of wear, almost nothing. It's practically new for $1. Over 6 hours, and it has an amazing making of featurette. It follows in the tradition of Lord of the Rings with those extended cut box sets. Not quite as in depth as those. Those are still my favorite special features ever on a DVD release. But this is still fascinating, and what really makes a making of featurette spectacular is if it is done in a way where it's almost as entertaining as the actual movie. Just the journey is a movie in itself, and it's just a fascinating experience. And if by the end of watching it, it really makes you appreciate the actual movie even more after watching the movie and then watching the making of featurette, then it really has done its job. It makes you go back and rewatch the film with a new, fresh perspective, and really understanding the behind the scenes and workings of, and be able to see the passion and the work and the detail that went into things that maybe you didn't really appreciate before, after just kind of watching it on a surface level, and just seeing and experience that initial emotional perspective, really going in now with a more informed analytical mind and re-seeing it. I think that this is one of those instances where the special features are so fantastic and in-depth and entertaining. I can sit and watch the majority of it until I have to go somewhere, kind of thing, where you can just sit and watch it, and really a lot of work went into it. It's almost its own production on its own, and it makes you really appreciate the actual movie itself. So a fantastic release, and yeah, $1 a piece, you can't beat that. So we got whatever we found that we didn't already have in the collection. and some amazing releases. Finally, found another Super Bit, found another Dragon Dynasty, so a lot of classics I just haven't seen in years or only have on VHS or whatever. So great variety and a fantastic find. And again, you don't have to break the bank to get a huge movie collection.